today we're going to get good, bad, and ugly because we're talking about some live spectacles and studio shortcuts. And we're doing it here live on the Reaper Metal Productions YouTube because this is the most awesome podcast. Hopefully, this is HELLCAST. I don't think I remind folks enough to go to hellcast.net, subscribe to our mailing list, and that way you will always have that notification of new episodes posting. But if you're here on the YouTube for the first time, or even any time, and you have not subscribed yet, and I guess you're supposed to now hit the little bell that's below it or that comes up with it, and it'll go like a little chime, and that ensures that even though you did subscribe, that you will get notifications, which you do get. Definitely we go live, so it'll just make life easier because everybody seems to be pretty excited about that, and that's pretty awesome that everyone is excited to be catching these live streams. So 2 thumbs up to that. So yeah, today we'll be talking about the live spectacles. What the hell does that mean? Well, all these bands that are kind of glorifying themselves to be like, you know, doing all these big elaborate stage shows. Like maybe is that too much? Or maybe it's just go up there in your jeans and just rock it out, man. It doesn't matter. 4 old guys just standing there like, you know, stones. That's just good enough. We'll be diving into some studio shortcuts. What the hell does that mean? You know, overproduced garbage, triggered drums, all that good stuff. And then the rest will be on you. Maybe we'll just get too blabby and we'll over exceed an hour like we always do. Who knows? First and foremost, though, I wanted to recommend some good music. And actually, I wanted to thank everybody, too, because last time I announced the current Reaper Metal release, Wolfblood Night Riders, the cassette tapes are out, and the CDs will be coming in soon. But anyone that picked that up, that was really cool, and it's really cool to be seeing that every episode, you know, talking about those releases and seeing folks that I recognize your names and picking that up. So I really appreciate that. But this has been something that came through Hells, so Hells has it in stock, and the link is in the description. Dreadful Fate. Now,
it's on High Roller?
No, To Death and I Hate Records put it out.
Oh, okay.
Dreadful Fate, man, with the album Vengeance. This just came in and I saw them. We got a bunch of copies. So I was like, I don't know. That cover art looks pretty cool. Those band members look pretty sweet. The one guy looks kind of familiar. And so it turns out that it is kind of Dreadful Fate's kind of a powerhouse of like Swedish underground fame because it's got Para from the drummer of Nomenon, who was also in like Benediction, Destroyer 666, at least on their last album, and more of recent. But then it's got Johan, who was in Sentinex and Demonical. The singer, I forget what his name is, but he was in the band Hypnosia, which kind of goes back to like the late 90s, early 2000s of thrash, when before it was like, you know, high tops and making a retro comeback. It was more so just, you know, Hypnosia was like one of those bands that was just around when there was really no trend to be set with that, and kind of vanished into obscurity into that. But boom, here's that powerhouse here. So definitely recommend getting it with all those kind of bands mentioned. It isn't in so much death metal as kind of some of those bands mentioned are. It's actually more like thrash, and you know they do a Creator cover, so it's kind of in that vein of early Creator, in that violent thrash vein. But a lot of bands are that. But what's really cool about Dreadful Fate, I think, is the fact that they're kind of like the underground powerhouse, and since they're kind of like of that demographic that would have grown up with the older stuff, it's almost like that's present in the music. Like it almost is the difference between like a band that's new going, we're old school, to a band that's older guys, we're old school. Because it's like, yeah, I don't know, it's in their blood. I mean, it's just like one of those small little things that speaking of studio shortcuts and all that, is one of the things that you hear because, you know, a lot of things are happen in the studio, and one of the biggest things that I think metalheads kind of can relate to mostly are trigger drums. And we've brought up trigger drums before and the gripe about that, but if you don't really know what the hell that even means, well, that means that basically you replace taking a microphone to get an organic sound of a drum, and you put a sensor on it to feel the vibration of a drum, to then put in any sound you want, and that makes the recording process easier, be it because you want to take that drum and make it more even or cheap basically with it, which you might as well pretty much use a drum machine at that point, in my opinion. or, you know, just to perhaps get better sounds. But that's not the only thing. That's not the only studio shortcut. There's a lot of things, like a thing called punch-ins, where, you know, you're playing a riff and you messed up one little spot, so instead of playing the whole 3-minute song again, you would punch in and you would put it in there, and, you know, to replace that error. And I think a lot of that stuff, yes, it does kind of add up to, you know, be that unnoticeable thing that might be a quirk or whatever, that especially when you're kind of being Mr. Old School and like, I like the things from the 80s. Well, what you're kind of sort of hearing is the old approach to recording, where it wasn't so many studio shortcuts, that, yeah, the band just, they're all mic'd up and ready to go, but they're all in the studio playing it at the same time, doing their thing, rather than, you know, one guy puts a layer on, the other guy goes in there. You know, it kind of stacks up pretty much, you know, not so much fake, but it's just, I don't know. It's got like that lack of organic, you know, sound, I guess. And so I kind of roll it out to you because, you know, you always kind of, like, even back to the Supreme Carnage we mentioned there previously, like, you know, it's not always about everyone breaking the mold. It's about, you know, just about the songs and stuff. When you're listening to a record and stuff, can you even fathom that if you can pinpoint such studio shortcuts and really care about such?
No, I don't. But I could see why some might. I'm not a musician, so that shit don't matter to me. Like what could be considered like cheating or anything of that nature. That doesn't matter to me as long as it sounds good. Now, if it's something that just sounds like fake and too computerized or digital to my ears, then maybe I might not like it, but just because I don't like how it sounds.
Yeah.
But as far as how they got the job done, you know, it's like anything in life. I think there's more than one way to skin a cat, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it has its place, and I would probably be the first, at least with, or amongst anyone that's kind of more of an audio nerd, or at least know what goes into it.
I remember I haven't heard this term in a while, maybe as I'm, you know, maybe not out and about enough, you know, talking to people and shit. But I remember always back around my teenage years and shit like that, especially me liking a lot of the death metal stuff, people would talk about the triggers and like, that's cheating.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what define cheating? How is it cheating? Like, who are they in competition with? What are they cheating? Cheating
at their craft as a musician, because like
yes and no, because the thing is you can usually almost 99% of the time tell that it's triggers. If it was to the point where you couldn't tell and they're claiming that it's just them all natural and they're getting some musician hypes and maybe getting jobs and gigs for that to me is cheating. But creating a product that you can hear the sound is, whether you like it or not, is up to you. I don't understand how that's cheating.
The cheat aspect isn't so much the sound in using the trigger aspect. Mm-hmm. It is more so using the fact that now, like I kind of said, is, you know, a drum is especially one because you got multiple microphones getting it, and they're all picking up individual drums, but they're more so getting the one that they're focused on. You know, like that microphone's picking up my voice right now, but it's especially picking up yours. Mm-hmm. And so if you were just triggering J-Dog's voice, boom, there's no Reaper to be there. There's no air conditioning coming through. It's nice and clean. So if you fuck it up, if you're just slightly got a double kick that's not aligned, you could fix it in post-production. And that's where people are saying it's cheating, because, well, that guy sucks. He can't even play it like that. And some bands, I think, might out
that's
themselves.
What does. See, I never had that mentality about that for the music. To me, it's like music's supposed to be enjoyable. It's kind of like, you know, maybe people break this down too for like movies and shit, how they made it or how they filmed it. It's like, who gives a fuck? It was a source of entertainment. Were you entertained? Did you enjoy it or not? That's why I love the music. I was like, did it move me? Was it jamming? Was it fist banging mania? You know, if it's the case, I don't give a fuck how they did it. I'm not I didn't break it down to how they got the job done. You know, I'm not like into this like, oh, he played like this and structurally, and I'm a jazz musician and all this technical shit. I guess I could get that if you're a musician and you make a living like teaching musicians and shit like that. I guess that I could see why you'd care.
Right.
But unless you are, just shut the fuck up. Did you like the music or didn't you?
Yeah. Well, for me, it's something that I do hear that, you know, it could sound, because, yeah, when it's the cheat aspect of it, so, you know, getting the perfect performance out of it, which one could not do, which, you know, I've been in bands, we've definitely done it. So I'm definitely been on the side where it's like you're making that decision. It's like, well, am I going to spend another $500 just to get that part right, or can we just fix it now and be done with it? You know, nobody would ever know. But if you're just like going in there purely creating it, that's where it's like, I think it gets it just gets to be slightly dog shit, or it just sounds like a click track. It sounds too perfect. And I think that's where the gripe is, and that's what I've noticed.
Because, your ears don't like that, and you're like, I don't like this sound. That I get.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just don't like that sound, that's fine. But as far as for any like moralistic reasons, that's where it's almost like that's how people come off. Like they're doing something morally wrong.
Oh yeah,
Not really, man. It's all personal preference, you know.
It is because because it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a piece of shit, but it
doesn't mean you have to like it either.
Yeah, it could be something that you would then hear and cite, as I do in some situations. And there's been stuff, that I didn't either find out, but like other professionals have even said, "Oh, those are definitely trigger drums," and I was like, they had me fooled.
Yeah.
And I've often even kind of said, I don't really like drum machines all that much. It kind of will throw me off. And there's been stuff that's a drum machine. They fooled me on that too.
The only three bands I can think of that I like, that I'm a big fan of, that I like that have drum machines is Mortician, which is obvious that they have a drum machine.
Yeah, that is.
I guess Infest Dead uses a drum machine. I didn't know that for a while. Somebody told me that,
which makes sense. Dan Swan was an engineer, so he knows how to hide it well.
If that's not true, don't quote me. I mean, that's what I've been told. So
no, it is.
I like that. And then Infest Dead a lot. And another band I like, a really brutal band from Texas, is Viral Load. They did a couple albums. They were on Corpse Crystal back in the day, back with bands like Devourment, Centauri, stuff like that. They had a drum machine, and I like that band too. They just had a unique sound, vocals, everything. Yeah. It was just a cool band. Really, really catchy shit. But very obvious drum. Like, you'd hate it. You'd like, this is junk.
Yeah.
But I liked it.
Well, it kind of, Dredd brought up a pretty interesting thing. He said, I think real drums always sound better, but if you're recording a demo on low budget or don't have a drummer yet, use whatever you need. I think studio stuff should have real drums, though. And, and that's so kind of embarking on that remark with as far as what he said about the demo thing. That is you got to start somewhere, and that would be the situation. So I get it. But in a way, it's almost slightly condemning, though, because a demo is a demonstration. So if you do have a pretty crappy, or it does, if you have a bad drum machine, I
agree with him 100%, because look at the whole term. Don't get me wrong, I'm guilty of this too. I like the demo. But some of that, if you really break it down, that's kind of nonsense. Because demo is exactly that. It's a demonstration. It's to give you the idea of what they're supposed to sound like. It's not the set in stone, which all these metalheads, like myself, I'm guilty of it too. I like the demos better, and it's fine. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But it's
it wasn't meant to go back. It wasn't meant to.
Like, so when they're condemning these bands, like, you sucked when your album came out, your demos were good. It's like, this is what I had in mind all the time. That was just how it came off. Yeah. Like, for example, King Diamond Spider's Lullaby demo is a drum machine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that demo is great, but the whole thing was he probably was thinking this drums sound like shit. He was just trying to get it because that's when he was shopping for a label. Because when he was done with Roadrunner, so he's trying to get the idea out there. Okay, this is what we're gonna what I'm going for to sound like. Just have an idea what the songs sound like. Same with Metallica. We know the la la las.
Oh, the
nanas. That shit's hilarious. The thing too is like, okay, we're putting out our next album.
Of course,
and their deals like, just here's what we're working with. Yeah, it's exactly that. It's a demonstration. So. Like I said, I'm guilty of it too, and I'm not knocking it, but that whole demo's king, man, fuck yeah. It's like you're kind of an ignorant dumbass.
But where I was going with Dredd's remark, though, bringing up the drum machine in a demo sense, is that perhaps if you were sending that to a label, that might, and like you send it to Hell's Headbangers or HELLCAST or whatever, and I heard it, and I heard a drum machine, it would kind of it would slightly turn me off, because it's kind of like, I don't know, it sounds weak, because yes, it's a demonstration. I understand that, but when you're a busy person or whatever, it kind of just, you don't have time to follow up to be like, well, what is it going to sound like then? Because, that studio, that real drummer might be they're the very essence that made a crappy band awesome now.
Well, that whole thing is actually, if you really break it down like this too, I think, because you're going back, especially a lot of the demos that I like and people in general like, you're going back to a time to where demos matter. Realistically, if you really break it down now, you don't even need to do a demo nowadays. There's no point.
As an artist, you probably should.
Not really. Think about it, because what are you doing that's new and special and shop around? For example, like you just said yourself.
Well, you're trying an idea out.
No, you're trying an idea out, but okay, there's really, like we've discussed last episode, you're not going to come up with anything new anyways. For the most part, you're not. So when they were shopping around, like, for example, when Death was doing their demos, Possessed was doing their demos, all those, band of the 80s and shit, when they were shopping that stuff around, that was a whole new sound. They're giving these labels an idea. Do you want to work with us or don't you?
Yeah.
Nowadays, just what you basically tell them, I play death metal. You know what I mean? And you're gonna know what the premises of it, especially if they're comparing to bands. Yeah, we're gonna be 80s death metal. We're gonna sound like Death Possessed, Massacre, all that, or we're gonna be a thrash metal, 80s thrash. It's really not as needed anymore.
I think it is. It's needed for. I agree and I would encourage bands really than going around sending their. Send it to labels, but because that's a different conversation. But as far as like doing a demo and then doing a studio thing, well, the demo in this day and age should really be for the band. In the writing process to be like, okay, well, now the song's in my head. Because when you're in a band, you're at rehearsal and stuff. You're still not getting what that song. Of
course,
you want to hear it.
Rip in your head and shit. You might forget it a week later. So
that's what the demo should be for, not something you're sending out. Because at that point, if you're ready to go, just go in there, finance yourself, and record it, and be done with it. Then try to get it out there. Which really, a lot of this shit you could do it yourself too, and it's time consuming. It's good to have somebody that could just get it there that much faster, and that's what a label would appease. But most certainly, I don't really think you should be sending demos that are incomplete band aspects of it, and I would think drum machines would kind of be that. But in a sense, we're sitting there saying you kind of point out the things about drum machines, and that's precisely the point of why I don't really like triggers, because think about it. What did I just say? Triggers are the point of it. You take a real drum, you sense its vibration to know that's a hit and on what drum, but then you replace it with an artificial sound. That's a drum machine. That's just a drum machine that you just easily execute. Basically, it's a drum machine that you programmed by playing drums the way that you play them. Because otherwise, a drum machine. Hell, there's various forms of drum machines. Honestly, you can get a standalone one where it's just got all buttons. There's a tom on there. You could do that on it, or you could just. I had one where you would put the bass drums on there. So if I want a double bass, like you would just set it 32 beats per measure and just hit the repeat button and it would go do 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 do. Or you could just sit there and do it, and then you put the snare in there. In between it, then all of a sudden now you got a cool double bass beat, and shit like that. Where now you got computer things where you just got all the drums and you just select it where it goes, how hard it hits it, and all these. It's very intricate what you can do with it. So in a way, there's kind of no excuse to have a poor sounding drum machine anymore. It's like you don't know what you're doing.
It's about the sound too. I mean, like I know, for example, like a lot of the brutal bands of like the late 90s, early 2000s, it seemed like the thing was they wanted like their kick drum to be louder than or like predominant.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. An album I like a lot, but I wish they would lower a little bit. Is Deeds of Flesh, Path of the Weakening. The kicks are really prevalent, and I think they just bring them down a little. But I think it wasn't like, oh, these guys didn't know what they're doing. It sounds like shit. I think that's what they're going for. It seemed like that was a current trend. It's just. I don't think it's a right or wrong. It's do you like it or don't you?
Well, that was always my gripe. Then, going back to like the trigger sound and why that's bad is they used it more to bring out the treble of the kick, to put the kick up front because it's
really
like,
up front.
Well, because the bass player he wants to be low, the guitar player he wants to be low, and then you got a vocalist he's low. It's like so everybody's in the low range. So it's like, well, now the kick drum is not going to be low because you can't hear it. You're putting all these frequencies on top of each other. So you need to cut some space out of it.
Well, I liked a little bit of, like I've said that a million times, I like a little bit of variety. That's why I like some drum machine stuff. That's why you don't like Death Leprosy. You say the drums sound like trash cans. I like it because it sounds, I don't want everything to sound the same. It's a little bit of variety. It's like, now would I want every album to sound like trash cans? No. Would I want everything to sound like triggered up front double bass drums? No. But here and there, it's kind of fresh, I like it, you know what I mean? That's probably why, like I said, I like that Viral Low band. It's a drum machine. The guy's got all these different vocal styles. It's kind of a fresh sound. I was like, oh, this is a really enjoyable listen.
Well, I like what Disco Dan just said, though, or those bands, the brutal bands, the trash can or pot and pan sound. Like, it's like the kitchen set, which would actually, talk about the kitchen set, though, that would be like,
I can't think of who you'd have to give some examples. The only one I think he might be talking about, and I always say this because you always say Death Leprosy's trash can drums. I think the epitome of trash can drums, which I do like it, maybe he's thinking this is pots and pans, but I call it trash cans, is the first Waco Jesus album.
I don't remember. Is that when all the shit all over the women with all the shit? Oh.
I mean, it's total trash. Actually, the drummer on there is he's dead too.
That's probably why I haven't heard it. I couldn't get past the cover. I'm like, this is too disgusting.
I actually liked how the drums sound because it literally sounds like a guy beating on a fucking trash can, and I liked it because at the time I was like, nobody else's drums sound like this. It's kind of neat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and nobody else's covers looked like that.
Yeah, well, I liked the cover. Yeah. Well, the cover was I liked it, but didn't like it. I didn't like it for obvious reasons, but liked it because it was so appallingly extreme and like, you know, especially if you're a kid or something, you gotta probably hide that from your parents. You know what I mean? Hide it from anybody.
I hide it from myself. I didn't really
because it's just funny because anyone that doesn't understand like the extreme metal scene, they're flipping through your shit. What the fuck kind of fucked up shit is this guy in there?
Yeah. Well,
so I liked it for that reason because it was like appalling, and I was like, this is how this music should be. It's not for the faint of heart. You know, that's how I always looked at it. I was like, it was one of those things to where like I've always looked at the scene, and I'm sure a lot of especially the black metal guys look at like, I don't want everybody just accepted in. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't want everybody. I don't want my mom to think, you know, this is very nice music. I want it to be. It should be extreme. It should be fucking, you know, so I liked it for that sense. But the cover, it was a little nasty.
Because there's even some 7-inches. Hells will get them like every once in a while. And I forget what the bands are. 2 minute something or other. But basically, there's like one where it's just like this dude's face and it's just covered with shit. And then there's like condoms on it. And it's just like, it's just fucking nasty.
Yeah.
And then you get, they get 50 of them. It's like,
I was
assemble.
I wasn't a big fan of that stuff. Even the Waco Jesus was the only one I was. That's like when you're getting into the thing like the porno grind. I was never much into that. The only things that I kind of liked, like I liked the Waco Jesus, but I guess it was kind of like porno grind, but not so much. The songs were well structured. They weren't 30 seconds. They were 2 to 3 minutes. I liked the which was be like porno grind. Their songs were short. I liked the. I haven't listened in years though. The first Anal Blast album was a good catchy porno grind on that Don Decker, whatever. He's dead too.
Don Decker. Why is that guy? Waco G. What was he?
Singer of Anal Blast.
Anal Blast.
He's this morbidly obese guy. So when I heard he died, I was like, well, you know, sorry to hear that, but I can't say that I'm too surprised he didn't live to be a large number.
What's an Anal Blast album title?
The first album is the logo looks like the Cradle of Filth logo.
Okay,
it's the same font. And it's just these two girls, like it's like basically two lesbians on the cover.
What is it called?
Vaginal Vampires.
Okay.
Dude, I haven't listened to that album in years, but it's a catchy,
but it's brutal. Right?
Yeah. And ironically enough, too, which was weird, because the style of music it is, you already got an idea, right? That brutal shit. Remember, I told you that the Don or Dan Decker or whatever the hell is, that guy. I met him a couple times. For whatever reason, he loved Cradle of Filth, like early Cradle of Filth, not the later game.
He probably was dead. He was probably dead before Mystique joined the band.
He loves Cradle, and that's their logo was like, you look at the logo, it's exactly Cradle of Filth, but it says Anal Blast.
I get what you mean now.
For whatever reason, he loves Cradle of Filth, and I want to say, this is a rumor I've heard, but I've heard it from a pretty reliable source.
Martin knew it.
Danny Filth likes Anal Blast too. Like, I guess he gave it. He he legitimately really liked it.
We're just gonna tell this like that. And Danny Filth was such a fan of Anal Blast that he took their logo.
I always thought that was kind of, not that that's who gives a shit. I just thought that was kind of interesting because I was like, huh? Like, I was like, I didn't think either guy would like either band. I'm like, there's no way they liked each other's shit.
Yeah.
Because especially at that time, there was like Corpse Crystal Records around and shit, and they were making shirts. That was like during Brian Baxter's and stuff. Like all these guys be walking around with no gay black metal shirts, like literally like black metal's gay and
what was the genre wars?
Yes, exactly. That's why I'm bringing it up. So like some of these people, what are we talking about? This is like, because it's kind of interesting how the times have changed. Because exactly, that's how I would call it, a genre war. And I always liked both. I liked the black metal stuff, and I liked some of the brutal stuff, and then obviously in between the thrash metal and just the regular death metal. But yeah, exactly, there was like a genre war. So I thought that and Dan or Don, whatever the fuck his name was. He was Don.
The dead guy.
Yeah, dead guy. Singer of Anal Blast.
The fat dead guy.
Yeah, he was in the brutal, scene. So you figure automatically. And Cradle of Filth and Dame Uborger and like Emperor.
Dame Uborger.
Yeah, those, I would say those three. Like Cradle of Filth, Dame Uborger, and probably like Emperor. Those were like the biggest three no bands. You were automatically considered gay if you like those, if you're in the brutal scene. Like that's not what I'm saying. That's what they would say.
Yeah, I know. That's what they call in a time that you could say that too. Like exactly. That would be the dialogue.
It's like, so he liked the guy in the brutal scene, like the epitome of like, that's like the biggest no band. So automatically, I kind of liked that about that guy, because I was like, he's look, I always praise, he's an individual. He's allowed to speak his own mind. He's just like, I don't give a shit. This is what I like.
Yeah. Well, Martin said that Anal Blast booked Cradle of Filth's first U.S. show.
There you go. I know it was something. I know they knew each other and liked each other's band. I don't know how. all the details. I put it, like I said, that was during the genre. That's the best way to word it, the genre war. And I just thought that was cool. That too, like, and I was like, oh, cool. I mean, that's because I liked both. I was like, what is this? It's like, what's this side shit? Like, I don't like what you like. Yeah, like you don't want no chocolate in your vanilla. What up? Like, you only like one flavor of ice cream, Baskin Robbins. Like, this is stupid. Like, why can't I like black metal? Why can't I like that? You know.
I remember when I did, and it's on here on the Reaper Metal Productions YouTube. Check it out. Interview with Auntie Bowman from Demilich that I did, and brought up the genre wars because Demilich was on Necropolis Records, and Necropolis, I guess if you think about it, I didn't think about it until then. Demolich's a death metal band. Necropolis did a lot more black metal than it went on, and so the question to him was, what did you kind of get shit being on like a label that then became more so a black metal thing? He said, yeah. And he was particularly being in Finland. People were like at a show, Demilich show, shouting Beharit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he said, we played our full set and it was over. He's like, you could take your fucking Beharit. And I guess, that was like someone twisted that, whatever he said live. And like basically said that Auntie was talking shit to HELLCAST or whatever, and so they didn't talk for years.
That's the way it always goes. Yeah, exactly. It's like that thing in telephone. Like, dude, I haven't had it happen to me in a while, but it seemed like I was on a fucking streak there. I don't know if you remember this. Maybe it was like with like when you're in Nunslaughter around that time is with Dwayne and all of the other guys. It's like, oh, Justin said this. I'm like, that's not what Justin said. You know what I mean? Like my words would be so fucking twisted, and like I'd get shit for some stuff from because some might be kind of business related, and I'm like, dude, that's not what I said.
Well, after you got shit, why don't you get stoned? On Digipack, Acid Witch's second album is now repressed here on Hell's Headbangers. And it's the Digipack version.
First time on Digipack, yeah.
First time. Let's hear some love for Digipacks first in the comments.
Well, let's clear love if they're good.
Love or hate them. Let us know.
Let's see if there's a good one. So far, it's looking good. I like how it's a fold-outer.
You like them folding out?
Yeah, because you need all the lyrics and stuff. Okay, so the lyrics are in there. Now, if it's just, for example, if it's like, so say this panel didn't exist. Yeah. That's a disc. And this just folds out and that's it.
It's just the cover.
Yeah, cover here. Yeah, cover here. Band photo here, and then your disc is here, and that's all you got. To me, that's no good because you don't have the lyrics, you don't have the info. This is cool. I like this, yeah. Because if you wanted to, not that I do this anymore, I ain't got time. You can sit there and like read the lyrics like a book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I'm planning on doing. I'm in my 60s, retired, and all fucking crippled and shit. Sit on my porch. And drinking a beer and going back to the albums. That's what I'm planning on.
That sounds like fun. That sounds awesome.
Tons of fun. That's when my collection's getting huge and huge because people are like, oh, that's a waste of time, waste of money. It's like, not a waste of money. Somebody always said, not a waste of money if you enjoyed it. I'm enjoying it now, and I'll be enjoying it.
Not a waste of that. No, that's a Reaper quote that someone was like, that's a good quote. I'm going to use this. It's not a waste of time if you enjoyed yourself.
Oh yeah.
Well, because the guy was like, yeah, I watch a lot of movies. Yeah, I know I waste a lot of time, and that's where I busted it out. Those are some wise words. Like, well, that was the first and last for me.
I like that.
Yeah.
That was that.
Yeah, but Acid Witch Stone's second album. So Stone, boom, Acid Witch. You're in a band like Acid Witch, you got a cool look to you. And when it comes to live, what are you going to do? You're just going to show up in your shorts and your outfit that you just cut the grass in? Or are you going to take that to the stage and make the same kind of look live?
Yeah, I know where this is going because this is a conversation I've been having since I was 15, maybe even earlier. Back in the early days, I always said you should have some type of stage presence. Yeah. And I liked it in the... like Euronymous said in the back of the Dawn of the Black Hearts LP when Dead killed himself. He just makes the comment, black metal is about, big time the image, the black clothes, spikes, crosses, things like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I could definitely say I had that mentality and still to a degree.
Yeah.
But it's changed a little bit. I think I don't think you should ever be wearing the clothes that you mowed your fucking grass in. You should at least have a goddamn metal shirt on. But I think like a band, for example, I bring them up all the time because they're one of my favorites in the band that, got me to death metal, Cannibal Corpse. They could go on and just their clothes, with those black pants, blue jeans, and a metal shirt and pull it off because they have a certain energy to them. You know what I mean? They bring energy to the stage. And if you have you know what I mean?
I wholeheartedly agree where you're going with that.
If you have that, you could go up there like that. a band like Acid Witch, I would say they probably should. Maybe like, hey, I mean, imagine if Slasher walked up with this fucking witch fucking mask on and sang with that, that'd be badass. They're kind of more of a theatric sound. So theatric, it would make more sense. And then as far as other bands, like take a band like, let's say like a black and thrash band. Let's say like Disaster, something like that, right? Mm-hmm. To me, it would make more sense. They don't have to go all duked out, but I'd like to see some spikes, some black leather, some upside down cross necklaces, type like that, because it just fits the bill more. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think everything is image based, but not in the same way. Not everybody should be in costumes. Like for example, like if fucking Morbid Angel started wearing costumes, like this is fucking stupid.
Yeah, 100%. Because it doesn't really warrant. So I think it's all image based, but within a certain image. You know? I would say. Well, I want to see what you have to say. You know, what do you think about a spectacle for a live show? Does it really matter? Or is that kind of sort of just something that throws off the fact that, you know, this is even a live performance that like everybody's got to do it? Like, I think the answer to me, and leave it in the comments what you think, is it's basically, what you set up with your music. You as the musician kind of got to figure that out. Am I a live band that's got to do something more? Feel your sound out. Go back to who are kind of like your influences and who's your type of fan base. Take all that into consideration. That's what I would do. Or better yet, I mean, maybe you don't have to think about it because you're just like Jimmy from Rotten UK and Bloodwolf, where when he's going to the grocery store, I'm pretty sure he looks like
he's a little bit extremist. Most people ain't doing that on a regular basis. So
but it's a good example of like he didn't take much thought. That's just what he looks like.
That's what he looks like. Yeah, that's the guy that takes it 24/7. Which honestly, that's kind of the way. I mean, I like it. I don't do that, obviously, but I like the idea of it.
Yeah, I'm not wearing a Kill God shirt to the grocery store.
I used to. Well, actually, I might. I just whatever I.
You were in the fucking family functions. You're at a 3-year-old birthday party. You got an Eating Back to Life shirt on.
What's wrong with that? Was that what I was all wearing?
Might as well have been.
Oh, yeah, whatever I had on, man. I don't know. That's what I got.
I mean, it's 2 thumbs up, but it's kind of like you got to filter a little bit in some circumstances.
I don't know. The way I figured it, if you invited me, you should know who this guy is, and that's how he is. You know what I'm saying? Ain't hurting nobody.
No, but you got 3-year-olds ask a lot of questions.
Hey, man, I like, you know.
Why are those women got shit all over their faces? Well, Uncle Justin likes Waco Jesus.
I don't have the Waco Jesus shirt. That's a little different. That's a little. You're talking about a drawing to like basically porn images taken off of a website or a magazine, wherever they got it from. That's a little bit of a difference, you know? Yeah,
well, so the live thing, the whole spectacle around it, like a band. So a shout out to Eric who brought this up and said we should ask it because I said, that's why you should be on the HELLCAST.net. Well, no, actually, the Facebook, unfortunately. But, so you could chime into certain things that roll out. In this situation, he was saying, hey, what do you want us to talk about tomorrow? So I asked this yesterday, and that was one of the ideas, is this live show thing. So shout out to Eric.
I will say this, what is unacceptable, so I can kind of just thrown out there is like, if you're showing up in just a baseball hat and a freaking, jersey shirt with the pair of blue jeans on, you're basically, your ass is just up against the speaker.
Okay.
You're just leaned up against it, just playing. That's unacceptable. And you''s see shit. Maybe not.
I've seen it, dude.
Maybe not the extreme, but yeah, it's like, dude, I came to a show, not your rehearsal.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable. You got to at least make some type of effort.
I agree. I agree. And I feel like I've seen, see, that's the thing is you see a lot of those bands and those are going to be like the same bands that like, they'll almost like if they're confronted about it or really just in some way, shape or form have to like be called out and justify it. There's like, well, we don't care. And it's just like, well, that's why no one else does either. Because you're just boring as fuck to watch.
Like a lot of people, especially that thing, people, they would say that's kind of like a death metal thing. It's like, I've seen the across the board thing. I'm not going to say any names on air, but I will say this, one of the boringest fucking, didn't even give a try fucking whatsoever, half an ass band live that I've ever seen is a local punk band. Yeah. I'm like, dude, you guys ain't even trying. I was like, this is like your fucking rehearsal.
Yeah.
And their music's, I like them, but I was like, dude, you guys aren't even trying live. And you're wondering why, like, you get 10 people showing up, I'm
trying to think who this local punk band is.
Oh, you don't know what I'm talking about? I'll tell you off air. But, yeah, you know.
Does it have a number in the title?
It does.
Is it horror punk?
Not saying no more.
Okay. It's kind of like this. Like, we're doing a radio show, essentially. Am I, like, on an everyday sense, having a general conversation? You would obviously know. When I'm just talking to you off camera or off mic, am I a little more toned down and just kind of more soft-spoken? Or am I always kind of, leading the conversation? Always, there's a little more of the show version because you're putting on a show. Like, it's going to be boring fucking radio.
Well, it's supposed to be a source of entertainment. That's where we break it down. I think a lot of these guys that, it's funny thing is, it's usually not the guys that look at it that way either, is like, music is a source of entertainment. So if you're going to play a show, it should be somewhat entertaining, meaning,
yeah,
it's just, you should, I mean, obviously everybody's idea of entertaining is different, and it's allowed to be whatever your, artistic views are, whether it be, violence or gore or fucking blasphemy or whatever, or just horror or whatever it is. It's like, that's you're the artist, put something on.
Yeah, well, I think the other thing where a lot of people the ones that just go up there and, like, 'cause I'm not saying you really do have to deck it out, because there are, especially like a crossover or
there's
punk
exceptions to the rule. Like a band that wouldn't need to do that could get away. You could watch old videos. You could get away with his Batman shirt and blue jeans on stage. Is fucking Repulsion.
Okay,
they just have that. I think too is maybe for the time, nothing sounded like that. It was just so raw and fast and just different. There's exceptions to the rule, but for the most part,
well,
they're just a band. And they got kind of like that punk, hardcore edge, to them too.
It's also basically, like I said, though, at that moment, you're still, if you're just going to go up there, in the Batman shirt and jeans and cut off jeans, well, then, you're going to be, you're leading the crowd then. Like, and so it's going to be centralized around feeling the music then, because that's what a lot of those guys would say. We don't care. It should be raw energy, man. Everyone should be fist banging. It's like, okay, well, hang on, you can't expect them to be fist banging. I think that's maybe why
they get a pass, is because they did have, the band themselves had that raw energy, and they had it to where, like I said, it was a fresh style of music that you could just see like old videos and just, just hear old stories of people there. Is like, the crowd was really, like, there was mosh pits. There was people stage diving. There's people there was energy for them too. That was part of it. Like, so if you're a spectator, just going in, like, say you never heard this kind of music, you're gonna be kind of entertained. You're like, that was a show. Although the crowd was kind of doing it for them too. But the
crowd was feeling it because the band was feeling it.
But
you were going to get off that energy.
I think,
like
I said, the reason why they get that pass is because the music of its time, of when it was. Would you be able to do that still today? Yes and no. Like the band that I saw kind of get away with it, especially in their early years, who everyone knows I'm a big fan of, is Toxic Holocaust. Mm-hmm. They seem to have that raw energy too. When I saw them, especially in the early days, and he didn't need to dress up or anything. It just had the crowd was really into it. They had that. It was just energy.
Yeah, but he wasn't bored either on stage.
No.
He was kind of fueling that energy. And so that's what I'm saying. If you're not going to do the whole get up, James, shout out to James, wanted to talk about Denial of God, Death and Beyond LP, which it's awesome. I don't know much more to say. Bringing up a band that kind of sort of has a gimmick, and, we talk about it a lot on this show, and the repress of that album's available now. But
not the LPs.
Not the LPs.
The LPs the covers were fucked up.
Oh.
They got repressed covers.
Great. Delay. Anyway, they dress up, they look awesome, and I would love to see them. And so they is another band, though, that has a dark persona. They could just go up there in denim and leather, and it would still work, especially in a black metal sense as that would be, but they don't. They take it to the next level, and then that's really cool. But I also think that, you're kind of still giving that crowd that energy. So now when you got the show aspect to it, then it's even really cool. Like, especially now, I think it also is the music, and that's where maybe you got to think a little bit further, where, like, thrash or something, if you're gonna be like Toxic Holocaust, you got denim and leather on, it's probably all you're gonna need. And hell, you could probably be like Scott Carlson and Repulsion and have the Batman shirt, and they'll be just fine too. But if you're like Portal, where it's fucking
no,
it's just the music's even weirder than that. It's like, can you imagine?
Well, what would be the it's like a kind of like a gloomy and doomy sound. It doesn't have, let's face it, doesn't have energy for it is. So you got to kind of create that.
It's got a different energy. I mean, honestly, that might be the more psychological thought about it is the energy might be hard to, you don't know how to react to it. And that's probably even, and obviously that's probably, honestly, I think that's the overall answer to the whole live thing, is that the band's kind of got to set that for you. Got to almost explain it, you know, and Portal does that through that image. Like, you know, you see the clock on, what is his name? Curator or whatever, the singer. Whatever.
I just call him Shane.
Yeah, no, I just throw there. I know his real name. It's, but nonetheless, like, so you see it and it's like, well, that's like weird. Like, it's creepy, but yet it's, when you simplify it, it's not. It's just a clock, but yet it works. It's antique. They got that whole antique kind of thing going, which is awesome, and that really works for the music. Like, it's kind of weird, and having seen them live, it did psych some people up because you're kind of there then, and. You know, Portal's a great example because, like, think about it. Before that show starts, like, that's kind of even a band I don't even recall that, like, they need an intro. They need to come out with something like the stage needs to be dimly lit, like, because then you kind of feel like the aura in the air, like this is something's going to be kind of weird, you know, or just you're supposed to feel this way while you hear this music. And then they go on, and then you see that show, and then you hear that music that goes on. It is weird and dissonant, and whatever adjectives that I'm lacking to think of.
Well, that's why bands like them, yeah, I mean, they obviously go above and beyond, and that's awesome for them. But that's why some bands will get thrown on the bus, like, say, a Repulsion or Toxic Holocaust. Like, they're not even making an effort. It's like if you're comparing it to that. But think about it. See, if Scott Carlson was going up, like I said, and may not have clocked on his head, but anything, even if he was going up like in the fucking, let's say they make masks, which actually look kind of cool.
The horrified mask?
The horrified mask, because I should get me that for Halloween. I'll wear that. But imagine if he was singing on that. It'd be kind of silly and dumb. It just wouldn't fit the energy of the music. I think it'd be. So it's like, yeah, if you're comparing it to like a Portal and shit, they are half-ass.
Yeah,
but it's like not everybody should be that. It just doesn't fit. You don't fit the bill.
Yeah.
Right.
Justin wants to know if you have heard the leaked single of Deicide's new album.
Excommunicated. Yeah, I thought it was good.
Did you agree with Thomas from me and Thomas from Redefining? We're talking about that. Which actually, by the way, so I've heard it too, and I enjoyed it, and. As I've never really talked about, some of those later albums with Ralph Santola. What is his Latin name again? Santora or Santola?
Vital Remains guy.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I've heard him as.
Actually, he was only live for a year in Vital Remains, but he kind of looks like that guy. But anyway, the solo, there's too much solos and stuff, and they're like too emotional and all that, and like, that's like not the Hoffman Brothers style where like they don't suck.
Well, it's funny you say
got
that
some
because
shred going.
I never thought of any of that, but the first person that brought it up was not on those albums either, and I never thought of it until he said was Evil Dave. Right. He said that for Scars of the Crucifix, which was the last album the Hoffman Brothers were on.
Oh,
he said that for like the title track. It just sounded like a happy harmony, like just like my skin crawled solos. And I'm like, I don't agree, but when I went back and listened to them here, I was like, I could see where you're kind of coming from. Then I guess so. They are kind of a lot more. I guess a better word is they're more melodic than normal. But that wasn't that was a laugh Hoffman. I think that was great.
See, I'm thinking of like,
but I never thought of that. But what you're getting at with those other ones, the Santora Ralphie albums, we'll just call them Ralphie albums.
Okay.
On the Ralphie albums, that was in the back of my mind, so I kind of did hear that because when it was pointed out on Scars, I'm like, this is probably. I was like, I'm sure Evil Dave won't like this. That's what I'm thinking. But I'm like, I like them. I mean,
it doesn't suck. It was just kind of like. It was a little too in the vein of Guitar God, where like when the Hoffman Brothers were in the band,
maybe just
it had more of the hook kind of riffage.
Maybe just on Stench of Redemption, which was the first one. Which I'll admit that album I actually didn't like it at first. It took me a few listens. To this day, I do like it, but there's one song I don't like on there. I believe it's called. I think it's the song Desecration. There's a song called Desecration. I'm pretty sure it's that song. I'm like, it's kind of a boring song.
Yeah.
It's like track 3 or 4. Other than that, I like the album as a whole. It's definitely not my favorite Deicide, not even one of my top 3 favorites, but I do like it. But after that, I actually liked some of the other ones later, like To Hell with God and In the Minds of Evil, I thought were better.
I think that, yes, the new track is really good, and what I did like about it
you liked the Excommunicated?
Yeah.
It was a good song.
And it kind of had... Because it was kind of back to that Deicide style. Like, what I think is the greatness of it was kind of the Hoffman brothers writing is like it had like those hooky, very aggressive.
Which is weird, but you
riffs.
kind of overheard it. Like I'm telling you right now, that's why I liked the last two before this. In the Minds of Evil and To Hell with God. You should really sit there and listen to them. If you think that, you should really give them a few listens, not just one listen, because To Hell with God at first, which is just would now be third to last album or whatever. My first listen, I actually didn't care for it. But as I got to know it, I'm like, this is very reminiscent to Once Upon the Cross. It's more of that vein. For whatever reason, the first one or two listens, I didn't have that feeling. I was like, it's kind of like, even like the triggers kind of stood out to me. But now I'm like, it's kind of like Once Upon the Cross. Yeah, and so was the last one. That's I tell everybody I like the last two albums a lot because they had some like the album Till Death Do Us Part. I didn't like that album. That was a fucking snooze fest.
Heavy Metal Magnet, your Sabbath of the Undead is a pretty wicked tune. Listening to it right now. Well, what the hell? You're listening to the music while we're talking here. God damn it!
Tunes are for after the show.
Yeah, make a playlist. Then you go back. We're almost done.
What you do is you fucking get the tunes on, you get your popcorn, and you discuss with your buddy the episode. You just discuss some topics, then you give your opinions.
Yeah.
And then just film yourself, and you can post it on YouTube.
There you go. Reaction videos.
Yeah, HELLCAST reaction videos. Someone start that.
I'm bored. It looks like shit. Let's put on the Sabbath of the Undead.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to the new Deicide. And when it comes out, I'm actually going to be in Vegas. So just for nostalgia, I'm going to see if I can find a record store in Vegas and pick it up there.
On opening day?
Yeah. It's like the 24th. I'll be in Vegas when it comes out.
I was kind of, so a lot of people do this and they do it especially for HELLCAST, like at the end of the year every time, like do a best of year. And a lot of times there's really, I never am paying attention enough to new releases because there's usually nothing that I'm always too excited about.
Just stuff like the bands I do is Deicide I do, Cannibal I do when they'll do one. There's exceptions, like if Toxic Holocaust is doing a new album, I'll pay attention to that. Hemorrhage, Exhumed. There's certain ones I just pay attention. It just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I don't know if I've been paying attention more because I just kind of been forcing myself to do it just to kind of like,
certain ones I do.
Don't get into geezer mode.
If I hear like the disasters, I'll get the word disaster. I'll look forward to it. Like if I hear they're doing a new album, I'll prep for it. And like if I hear there's like a limited edition, like 100 copy color, I'll definitely try to get my paws in there for an order just so I can get one. Things like that. So
have you heard the new Marduk with Bret the Hitman Hart as the cover?
No, honestly, ever since Legion left the band for Marduk, I stopped paying attention. I think the first one without Legion, if I'm not mistaken, is Plague Angel. And I went back and listened to those years later. They're okay. It's just not the same. I like the Legion albums and I like the ones prior to Legion. Like the very early albums, like the Opus Nocturne and those are the Unlight. Those fucking great records. And because Marduk for me had nostalgic value when they changed basically their whole damn lineup. I mean, Marduk for me is without a doubt one of my favorite black metal bands ever. Like top 5 for sure. And so when the whole lineup changed, it's not the same band. But I did go back and, like I said, listen to like Plague Angel and a couple of those. They didn't suck. They're not like bad albums. It just wasn't the same band for me.
I actually saw this newest one actually because Marty, it was just a band that I don't like them or hate them or I don't own any of their stuff.
I love them.
This new album, I actually really liked it. And
Bret the Hitman, maybe it's great. I don't know. Yeah, I don't.
Well, and I liked it for what everyone was saying they didn't really like about it.
Is it still extreme black metal? Like it's got a lot of blast beats and stuff.
Well, yes, but it slows down, and that's what a lot of people have even said that they didn't like as much.
Like listen, like the last Legion album, World Inferno. They got a song on there called Bleached Bones. Check that out. That's a total slow song. Great fucking kind of like. I don't want to call it a ballad, but well, I like, in a sense, you might like that. But I was saying,
maybe in their sense,
yeah,
I like. But what was kind of a standout for is the production. It was a little bit more warmer and just simple. Where some of that other stuff, even though it's black metal, it's almost kind of very reverby, so it's more produced, I guess would be the word. And that's what I kind of liked about this one. It was like, wow, that's just like kind of an organic drum, and like they didn't really do anything. It's like kind of just there. And like it just was simple, and I don't know. I just saw. I mean, the cover is god awful. Like, why is Bret Hart on the cover? I don't get it. Like,
why is it? Is it like it's an actual guy and it just looks like Bret Hart, or like what?
I don't know. Dude, it looks so much like Bret Hart.
Talking about Bret the Hitman Hart, the wrestler,
I'm talking
right?
about Bret the fucking Hitman Hart,
with the pink bandana and all that, pink pants and all that.
Well, it's a black and white, so it's the shades.
Wearing pink.
Look, you got to see this shit.
Oh man, Bret the Hitman Hart. I didn't even know that guy
Bret
still
the
alive.
Hitman Hart. He is not looking good these days. So no, oh wait, I'm pulling up Bret Hart. So Mark,
Ow! I was gonna say he really is on it.
So that Bret the Hitman Hart image, there. I mean, that's fucking Hitman, dude. Is that not?
I mean, it is. I wouldn't have thought anything if you didn't say anything. I would be thinking this cover's dumb as hell.
It's dumb.
Well, I think
we'll
it's
agree
dumb
on
cover,
that.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, bringing it up, but I wouldn't have thought that myself. I'd just be thinking, why is there a guy with sunglasses on the cover? What's it called? Victoria, the album?
Yeah. Which is funny. I was reading Justin's remark when you were kind of asking me a question, which is always kind of slightly hard to be talking and reading these, but I just watched the best death metal albums from 2000s list that Banger TV did, and it's so cringe they talked about Opeth Goat Whore. It's a painful listen. And it's funny that I bring it up for the fact that, give you a shout out, Justin, because you said Banger. And so with the new Marduk, the other day I was listening to Banger TV's doing it, and I've kind of spouted some of my gripes with that channel. Not that there's anything wrong with it really, but that it kind of incorporates a lot of the shit that I absolutely hate alongside stuff that I like. But they did that Marduk review, and the dude fucking brings up the Nazi crap.
What does he bring up?
Exactly. Like, but he brings up the fact that there's he just kind of makes some puns out of it, like, well, you might lose a show or two out of it, and it's just like, and then he also states that, like, I don't want to go there, and it's like, well, you did go there though. Why did you go there? Don't be fueling that fire, because it's like, what are they doing with the Nazism that is no different than Slayer in a more historical and in their fucking brutal band? That's a brutal topic. Like, I
said it a million times. Even if they are in the Nazi shit, you don't like the channel, change the channel.
Yeah.
What's there to be pissed off about? Okay, you don't like it. They're singing. I mean, I'm not a Nazi. I don't agree with Nazis, but I don't sit there and get outraged by them. Just change the fucking channel. Like it's literally that simple. Change the channel.
I agree. You know, since we're talking about it, I did want to make this mention, though, which I find very interesting, though. Think about it this way, though, and this is going to sound like I'm condoning the Nazi thing, but I think what there needs to be is, in any situation, when especially if you got controversy at hand, you need to resolve things with an understanding of where somebody's coming from. So let's get that understanding going. When a band's even talking about Nazi shit, it could be historical for just the brutality fact of what that even means. But if they're really even so if you're even like these people now that are like neo-Nazis and shit like that, well, what are they even trying to say? Because the first thing that when you hear Nazi, what is the first thing you're probably thinking? You're thinking, gas chamber killing people. Well, the second part of it is how they handle political situations. And if you know history, what do they say about Hitler? They say that he was one of the best rulers of Germany. Mm. Why? When you take out the Holocaust part and he was one of the best rulers, then why? And how did one country you get so far in a war if they didn't have, so the point I'm getting at is not condoning it, but if you were to try to put some rationale and dissect it, okay, so they had all this shit, but what were some of the good that they had then? In a political sense, and maybe that's what some of the people here now, 70 some years later, in a neo-Nazi situation, maybe they're not saying, hey, let's find Jews in America or anywhere and kill them. Maybe they're saying, let's learn from what this asshole did, but from the good that he had. That's possible. I mean, that's just all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's possibly how all the ones I've ever met. Like, it seems like every racist and person I've ever met is just an ignorant dumbass. And not because they have a belief that I don't. I can accept that. It's just because literally, like, not with that set aside, you could just tell they're not a very intelligent person. Like, basically a step away from sticking their tongue in an electrical socket. Like, just a full-blown moron.
Yeah.
And forget the racist part. Forget them even talking about that. Just, you're talking this, like, I could tell this is a really dumb human being.
Well, you kind of have to
But I'm sure there's exceptions to the rule. I'm sure there's ones that maybe have a better agenda or are more intelligent about it or like older or more mature. But all the ones I've ever met, I can honestly say are complete dumbass hillbillies.
Well, and that you kind of have to be racist because your situation of just hating somebody for whatever
for color, exactly.
It's just that's not a way to that's not understanding.
Well, the thing
either.
is too, not to sound like the thing is not that any age demographic would have a right, but think about it. Anybody even like our age or especially younger, you have no reason to. You really don't. It's just like your reasonings are not going to be a good one. I'm not saying that there is a good reason to hate a race, but what I'm saying is back like if you're like it was more like. If you got an 80-year-old man, it's a little more understanding because that's kind of like they're almost taught that from birth. And that's almost like it was just that's just the way things were. So for him just to carry on with his life, and it's always been like that in time to change, I'm not saying it's right, but I can at least understand it more. As opposed to some dumbass 20-year-old who's lives in Strongsville and there's basically 10 blacks in the entire fucking city. It's like, dude, you have no reason to be upset and hating these people. You know nothing about them. You don't know your ass from the hole in the ground. You're a fucking ignorant dumbass just to be not liking them because of the color of skin. You're honestly stupid.
Well, you're wearing a White Death shirt. You know, there's a Finnish band that
it's Death to White Light Religions. God damn it, that's why I keep saying that.
Well, it's the Finnish Sniper.
But I'm just saying. Well, the way I take it is Death to White Religions.
Yeah, but anyway, they get shit have gotten shit to from these PC nerds. But again, it's just like here's a Finnish band then. How if you've been to Finland, like what are they hating?
Here's even better.
There's nothing
Let's
but
just say this. I don't even need to justify anything. Let's just say they are racist. I like the tunes. I don't give a fuck. See, I can separate things. I like the band Vaginal Jesus. I'm not racist. I thought it was pretty good grindcore. I know how to take a joke. I know how to separate things. I know how to not be influenced by other people's opinions. I thought it was a good satanic sounding black metal band. Is the guy racist? I don't know. Do you care what he likes on his pizza too? Care what kind of cereal he eats in the morning? I don't care. I like his music. I could do that. That's what mature adults do. They don't get upset and say, "Oh, he doesn't like him." I don't give a fuck who you like and who you don't like.
Well, I mean, I get it though that maybe you're of a demographic that is targeted in the racism thing, and much like
no, I don't because
like if you're
I'm an black band star, Kill Crackers, I'd still if it was good tunes, I'd buy it. I'm white guy, I wouldn't care.
But as white people, we're not exactly subjected to the struggles that black people may be. Because it's just how it is, in some, if you're living in the ghetto or something as suburban white boys, we don't understand that. So, you don't have that, you don't relate to that situation.
Yes,
so much like,
okay, I'll throw this out there. Yes, they nobody likes to bring this up, but let's just throw it out. They have their struggles. What about the white boy that gets thrown into the ghetto? Think he's not going to have it hard? He's going to have it harder than they are. He's going to sure get picked on.
Yeah, but you're not a white boy that was ever thrown in a ghetto.
No. But that white boy, no matter what he says, he's still not allowed to say it. But they are about him.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of double standard there.
Just saying.
I know what you're saying. I think that it always comes down to nobody's trying to understand about it. They just want to get all up in arms about it. And so I'm trying to understand why the hell Bret the Hitman Hart is on the cover of the new Marduk, although a good album, and then why somebody would go and
do you think I like the Bret the Hitman Hart album? Based on what you know what I like, do you think I'll like it?
Well, because you like Marduk for what you said and seeing the reactions of other people saying they liked the album, but they thought it was lesser
totally
secure
different.
Because of that.
Okay.
Which back to that's what the Banger guy said too. When he wasn't making the dumb Nazis, to put that to rest, like it was just uncalled for. Like he was like, God damn it, guys! Like you're on a big enough platform where if you're going to approach that, now you're going to stir up some stupidity shit, and it's precisely the problem of all
social
this
media
shit.
stuff. That's a lot of stuff they're doing.
Exactly.
Well, no, but with that's what they're trying to do is get views and hits to stir shit up.
But I'm so sick of that because look at it. Look at this. So we're no Banger TV, but look at all these people in this live chat. They're excited that we're talking about metal. They get it too. They're like us, wanting to talk about records and talk about the good of it. Say that Bret the Hitman Hart's on the cover of it, ha 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 ha, and then get to what is the album.
Somebody else say that, or you came up with that?
I don't know, but I'll take it if I pointed that out. But nonetheless, I'm just saying, like, there's slight controversy. Do you think what's the guy's name? In Morgan. Do you think Morgan from Marduk, if we said, hey, your cover looks like Bret the Hitman Hart, like, do you think he's going to like to hear that? He's probably going to kind of be upset.
Over there, he might be like, who's that?
Maybe, but still, he might kind of like think, well, fuck this guy's making a goof of my shit, and especially in a black metal band.
He's another one. He's part of the problem, too, just like I said. Hey, I'm a type of person, I've always said, right is right, wrong is wrong. I don't care who you are. I don't care whose crotch you're yanked out of. Right is right, wrong is wrong.
But the
That's what I'm
point
saying is if he's going to get all up in arms because
I have an opinion.
About his cover, it's like, you can't take a joke, dude. It kind of looks like Bret.
Well, I'm not saying he didn't.
No. And I'm just
maybe
saying,
he would.
But if he would be all upset about that, it's like you're just as much a problem with these people that get all outraged with this Nazi shit. You're just as bad because you're getting outraged over something that there's nothing to get outraged for. I'm just making an accusation. When I saw it, it looked like Bret Hart, and I was just saying, what was the theory behind this cover? Like, what's supposed to be? That was my impression. Exactly. What's wrong with that?
And that's an example of controversy, a negative review in sense, something more than it was great or it sucked, more thought-provoked opinion, and that's the point. In a social media sense then, because what is social media taking the place of? It's taking the place of human interaction, and you wouldn't sit there and say something about you wouldn't say to Morgan's face, you're a fucking Nazi. You would not draw that up to his face. So the fact that you would do it over social media means you're a fucking pussy and you're misusing brilliant technology. Brilliant. I mean, it's amazing. And you're fucking with it, man.
They're safe in their own home, and they're not going to answer to him.
But it's like, it's so stupid. And realistically, what's funny is, like, think about it in this sense. Like, this is kind of alien metal, crazy thoughts of Reaper here, but it's an in-depth thought nonetheless. Cloud, like, so what is a thing in the world now? What is the technology? Cloud-based storage. Where does that go? Like, the information goes into a database in some sort of tangible way somewhere. So the point I'm getting at is the cloud, so to speak, exists. How does it exist? I don't know. And so this world of technology is kind of sort of another world beyond our own, that all these typewriter tough guys are really existing outside of themselves but existing in an asshole you would never even want to represent. If you were to look back at how you represented yourself in the let's call it cyberspace.
They want to represent themselves in the real world.
Yeah. Why would you want to represent yourself as a dipshit in cyberspace? Is the same way.
Well, it's like, like I said, because they have the safety that they're not going to have like I said, not that I'm some celebrity or anything by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not, but with the companies like that, I've heard lots of shit negatively said about the company over the years, right? Mm-hmm. People that I haven't met and people that I have met, known the local guys and non-local. Not once have I ever had somebody come up to my face and say something.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
Not once.
I'm not intimidating looking, but I've had people say that I am, even in person.
Well, you say
that's the worst I've ever had.
Okay, Erica Chase said the same thing. I mean, those guys aren't breaking any muscle records either. The fucking nobody's ever said shit to them either. Nothing.
No.
If you said this, never.
No, I get if I'm ever recognized in any event, I get nothing but a handshake and
they either say something polite, good or nothing.
Yeah, great compliments.
Yeah.
And that's great. And I think that's precisely what makes me irked, because it's like, I think Hell's Headbangers, every Reaper Metal Productions, everything they were close to, hell, even Werewolf, Satanic War, Lori, or whatever, or Werewolf, even that is all an embodiment of passionate metalheads. Mm-hmm. And the fact that someone would do that, would go to great lengths to cash in on a conspiracy, or what the fuck is the word? I'm not conspiracy, controversy, and blow something out of proportion. Really, in some ways, to things I don't even want to bring up, blow things out of proportion for the sake of bringing in a crowd, clickbait, is bullshit. Because for one, here's the other thing about it. Clickbait. Let's call it for that, to get clicks, to get people to go there. There is a big thing such as this is the wrong crowd. It doesn't matter. It's also to the sense, I'm going to use YouTube for an example. If you wanted to have a successful YouTube channel, the average Joe Blow thinks that I'm going to go on YouTube, I'm going to create content, I'm going to let them put ads on it, and I'm going to hopefully get 1 million views and ad revenue. All right. Get that massage going because the money's going to be kicking in. Well, it's not, because you get shit. But that's precisely not the point. You do not only get So that actually is a very good point, is that when you're using corporate America ads in this situation, YouTube ads, because they're advertising fucking Domino's Pizza and so on.
Yeah.
You're getting pennies for it. Then driving people to there that don't give a shit. A very successful video on Reaper Metal Productions is Finished Metal. I can look at my YouTube analytics, and even though it says, I don't know, 30,000 views, that's not 30,000 fully watched views. That's 10 seconds. That's 5 seconds. That's full 20 minutes watching it. So the point is you're going to make a stink. You're dragging people within your demographic of metalhead, of metal. Whether you like Slipknot, all the garbage aside, you're still within the same camp of extreme music that the rest of the world hates. And then you want to go and attack that so you can make some corporate America pennies to the fucking view ad revenue? Because that's all it is at the end of the day.
Even that I'm not going to
And that is, ladies and gentlemen, a fucking poser. That's what it is in this model.
Well, it's the same thing as basically the which I always try to encourage people not to watch and listen to. It's like the radio or just the news.
Yeah,
with the internet, they're just creating shit and just looking for drama. I mean, so I guess these YouTube guys, everybody's got their own approach of doing things, I guess, but it wouldn't be mine.
No, because here you are, you're talking about records you like, you're talking about the new DSI, you're telling them fuck off, White Death, whatever their agenda is. I like their music, and people obviously know and agree with that.
Yeah.
And that's the point, is it's organic. You're a fan.
Everybody seems to, especially these days, with social media and shit like that, everybody wants to have their opinion reached. But unfortunately, some people just, you're not in the position to really give an opinion because who are you on the topic? Get some experience under your belt.
Yeah.
Listen, what I mean by experience, I'm not talking about some guy making money or anything like that. I'm talking about for example, if you're going to talk about music and shit, I mean, if you just got into this 6 months ago, if you're the 15-year-old, you probably don't have much. Who's going to care what you have to say? Honestly, why would you? You've been listening to this for 30 years. Oh, wow. He probably's got some knowledge under his belt and he's knows some cool albums I haven't heard or shit to check out. He's a reason to listen to him. Yeah. Not everybody has a voice yet. Put some passion and thought into something for years and years on end. I think you have more of a voice, and that's what people won't want to listen to in anything,
I agree. There is ways to be entertained. There's shit I've watched on YouTube that is somebody I don't even know who the hell they are.
Yeah, well,
if it's entertainment,
best example I could get is if you're trying to get rich, are you going to fucking go ask a fucking bum? Or are you going to ask a guy that's rich how to get there? You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to ask some broke motherfucker if I'm trying to get rich. I'm going to ask a guy that's already rich how to get rich, right? Same fucking thing. Now, the broke bum, he can give you an opinion about it, how he thinks. You're not really qualified for you're broke, dude. You live on the side of the fucking road.
Yeah, but I think that's what these media sites that we don't like, and I'm not going to lump I don't want anyone to confuse it. I'm saying bangers like that. I was more so letting out my frustrations to a different big publicity site that I absolutely despise.
No, I'm just saying, all that aside, it's just, regardless of who this band, I don't even know who the fuck that is everybody has an opinion now. All you gotta do is differentiate. I think people get outraged, kind of like what you're saying, because they're taking it all too serious. You gotta remember, for every topic, there's only a handful of select individuals you should be taking any of their opinion or saying whatsoever, because they're the qualified ones.
Yeah. Well, but like I said though too, that I think that to be an established figure of whatever form gets you ahead, because you're going to want to hear what an owner of Hell's Headbangers has to say over the 16-year-old kid.
I don't think you need to be an established figure. I'm no better at anything more than anyone else. The only thing that I have is I've been listening to this stuff most of my life. So maybe somebody would want to hear my opinion or over somebody that's been listening to this for 6 months. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And maybe they don't give a fuck, and that's perfectly fine too.
Totally. But that's what I'm saying. So the kid that's been listening to us for 6 months, though, he's just got a bigger challenge then of how to stand out from a crowd. How should anyone, and that's what I'm saying. And that's how you can purely attribute what is garbage, as far as I'm concerned, in a publicist metal world. Who are the bad journalists and who are the real fans? Because the bad journalists, they're going to be talking about all the same albums that you don't give a flying fuck about by all the big labels that are clearly just endorsing those. And then just like spouting fucking shit to get people in an uproar where I've seen it. I've seen people, Josh, who wears the,
Armijo.
yeah, he had. I remember the first unboxing video for Hell's Headbangers he did. I think he had a SpongeBob hat on. I thought that was funny. I didn't think anything more of it. I just thought, I've never seen a metalhead wearing a SpongeBob hat. That caught my attention, and maybe only that. But then I watched the video more, and it was Hell's Headbangers, so I was curious, and I didn't know what a unboxing video was at the time. But I watched it, and that was somebody to me that I've never recognized, and it stood out. And there's someone who I'm assuming Josh maybe now has a presence.
Doesn't he live in Texas?
I think so.
Yeah, he flown out to Hell's Head Bash. You know.
Oh, you met him?
Yeah, I think he did too. He came up to the table where he was there. So that's kind of, he seems to be, passionate about what we're doing. We're a fan. of it.
Sure. I know that for sure.
He's from us many times. I know that. And
I've talked to him.
I would take his opinion over some 12-year-old that just got in this last week. That's
exactly.
For damn sure.
And he's a
SpongeBob hat or not.
Well, right. But I'm just saying there's something, and that was just him being him, and that's the point. He was being himself, wearing a SpongeBob hat or whatever, talking about metal records, no gimmick aside, being himself, and that is exactly the point.
He's organic.
Exactly. And that's how you can do something, and that's how somebody, I'm assuming Josh didn't have an establishment to go off of further than just, fuck it, I like these records, I'm going on YouTube and I'm making these videos.
That's what I assumed.
And that's how people should be doing it, and that's, I would rather hear what Josh tells you is a new album that you should check out than any of these fucking huge public sites.
I would totally
take all this dumb garbage anyway.
I would totally take his opinion over them, for sure, without a doubt.
Yeah. So, yeah. So there you go. This has been HELLCAST. I am Reaper, the disgruntled host that is definitely encouraging you to think outside of the box than to do this fucking bullshit that these big sites that I don't even want to bring them up. Don't even bring them up in the comments if anyone has.
They don't deserve the shout out.
Yeah, they don't even know, because that's how you empower them, and that's the other bullshit aspect to it. But we've went on those rants before, but that whole banger thing, when him bringing up the Nazi thing, that just kind of pissed me off.
I was so sick of hearing that topic. It's just like, if you don't like it, I'm fine. I don't even like it. Just change the fucking channel. I'm just so sick of hearing about it. This shit was 100 years ago. Let it go, people. That's the way I see it.
Dreadful Fate. Definitely check them out. Newer band that I just heard, and an album that just stuck out for me. I don't know what 2018's been doing, but seems to be a strong year for newer releases, and I don't think this is one of them. Dreadful. If you're interested in Dreadful Fate, or anyone interested in Dreadful Fate, the link is in the description.
I didn't listen to that one. I listened to the other one in the shop.
Vengeance. What did you think?
That was good.
Yeah. But so the Sin of Sodom was before that. I didn't know that, so I'm so.
That's what I recommend. Remember, I told you I knew the name and remember. I mean, I saw. Yeah, I did recognize him totally.
Oh, okay.
I was like, that's why I recognize. I pulled that before.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Well, yeah, there's 2 releases now. I didn't know that. I thought they just had this album, and then I'm like, I seen that before.
Yeah,
so
I knew. When you told me, I was like, I know the name 100%. I was like, I know we've had it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, something Hell's Headbangers has definitely had before, too, is Acid Witch Stoned, but we have not had the Digipack version. So this is now the new pressing, and the Candy Corn. Is there going to be a black vinyl again, or is it just going to be?
I think so. There's going to be at least 2 colors for sure, whether it's black and Candy Corn, but Candy Corn seems to be the hottest selling one.
Cool. If you have not already done so, please do so. Go to hellcast.net and subscribe to our mailing list. Because you may remember from a few weeks ago or this whole time, we've been doing a lot of giveaways and stuff. And so if you're on the hellcast.net mailing list, which is the Reaper Metal Productions mailing list, so you'll be hearing about all things Reaper Metal Productions, which 2 thumbs up to that, but you'll get notifications about episodes and all that stuff. So I would hope that you would care about that as opposed to all the other bullshit other people would be telling you about. But nonetheless, you would also be automatically entered into any giveaways that we're doing, because we do just draw we just draw from a hat, and those entries come straight from the mailing list. So, yeah, hellcast.net, subscribe to the mailing list. I think I got all my plugs out of the way. hellsheadbangers.com, of course. Go there and show your support by grabbing something rather than anything else. That's how this keeps going. So, wow, that was a lot to say. So at any rate, this has been HELLCAST. I am Reaper. We will talk to you next time.